Conflicts to come. This video series will cover the book of Daniel, chapter 11 verses 5 through 45 using the King James Version of the Holy Bible. First, it's important to note that the conflict seen in verses 5 onward starts sometime shortly after the conflict seen in the book of Revelation chapter 17, after the fall of Babylon the great city. For many years, this chapter has been the most difficult to interpret, that is, until our modern time politically speaking. Against the backdrop of our modern political time, it's very easy to see possibly what is going on in this chapter, and possibly with whom. We will start in verse 5 and interpret each verse onward, and post only 3 verses on each video at a time since this chapter is 45 verses long. Please subscribe and click on the bell to get notified when we post the next video in the series. The interpretation that you will see in this series, we are not claiming will happen, but will be analogous to our modern political environment and presented as a highly unlikely possibility. Thanks for watching.
Verse 5. And the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion.
The leader of the kingdom of the south, the alleged little horn nation, will be strong, but one of his princes, the alleged mouth of the little horn, shall be strong above him and have great dominion. This so-called prince is whom the book of Revelation calls the beast. Specifically in chapter 17 verse 8, where it states, he once was in power, then not, yet shall be. Accordingly, he's a loud-mouthed defunct leader of the little horn nation who will once again convince people to follow him, and will ultimately have greater dominion than the current leader. It makes you think, how could a prince ever be stronger or have greater dominion than the current king or leader? Well, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 depicts him as a lawless individual and then talks about those enthralled to him, believing a lie, upon whom God will send strong delusion.
Verse 6. And in the end of years they shall join themselves together. For the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement. But she shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand, nor his arm. But she shall be given up, and they that brought her, and he that begat her, and he that strengthened her in these times.
Verses 10 and 21 through 28 are analogous to this one. The king's daughter, could be referring to the embodiment of the alleged little horn nation, is describing how a group of brokers, including the nation that begat her, allegedly England, will go to the leader of Russia, to make a political agreement that allows the leader of the little horn nation to have some sort of co-equal power with the mouth of the little horn. This happens, by reason of transgression, according to Daniel chapter 8 verse 12, allegedly, by the rebellion that tore the little horn nation apart on behalf of the beast seen in Revelation chapter 17. That involved an economic collapse and subsequent destruction of Babylon, the alleged great city of the little horn nation that originated there and spread throughout the world. But the outcome of the political agreement will not be favorable toward the little horn nation nor its current leader.
Verse 7. But out of a branch of her roots shall one stand up in his estate, which shall come with an army, and shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and shall deal against them, and shall prevail.
Verses 21 and 40 are analogous to this one, describing how the mouth of the little horn, out of a branch of the alleged little horn nation's roots, will stand up in the place of the leader of the little horn nation, and at some point, will go with an army and enter the fortress of the king of the north, Russia, and prevail against them. Verse 40 describes this happening. Please subscribe and click on the bell to get notified for the next video in this series covering verses 8 through 10.